The Sutra of Vajra.
Deputy Stone released Adamus's hands.
The green aura dissipate from his own body.
The Sutra of Vajra.
Chapter 4, Nure-onna, Wrath of the Ohebi Orochi no Megami. Deputy Stone released Adamus's hands, feeling the green aura dissipate from his own body. He staggered back, a queasy feeling churning in his stomach. Is that how you always feel when you run? I feel like I'm about to throw up. Never do that again, he groaned. Adamus's eyes glowed with a vibrant yellow hue, his green aura pulsating around him as he fixed his gaze on the samurais and Nure-onna. I have a bad feeling about these samurais, he muttered, his voice tinged with concern. Their life energy is so much stronger than the snake lady. As Adamus spoke, his eyes intensified in their yellow glow, his aura radiating with an otherworldly brilliance. Deputy Stone stood up, his gaze fixed on the figure of Mayor John standing behind Nure-onna. I can see the mayor, he announced to Adamus, his tone resolute. He's right there, behind Nure-onna. Looking at the samurais with apprehension, Deputy Stone continued, the samurais are way above my pay grade. You deal with them. I'm going to phase through the floors and arrest John. Does that sound like a plan? Adamus nodded, his eyes locked on the formidable samurais and Nure-onna. Sounds good to me, he replied, determination flashing in his eyes. But before they could execute their plan, Nure-onna began to speak, her voice urgent. It couldn't be, those eyes, she exclaimed, her tone frantic. Those eyes. Seal so many of my people. I thought you samurais killed all of those people with those eyes. The first samurai on her side is named Ohebi Nagare. Adorned with a sleek black belt and punctuated by gleaming armor pieces, Nagare's presence is both elegant and formidable. His long, black hair is tied back in a tight ponytail, swaying with each purposeful step. At his side, 3 swords rest in their ornate sheaths, the katana, the wakaizashi, and the tanto, symbols of his mastery in the art of the blade. But it's not just his formidable arsenal that sets him apart. Arcane energy crackles around him, weaving through the air like an invisible cloak, a testament to his command of mystical powers. With eyes as dark as midnight, he gazes ahead with unwavering focus, his gaze holding the weight of ancient wisdom and untold secrets. Right beside him was his brother, Jishin, a young samurai standing poised, his presence both humble and determined. Clad in a simple gi of earthy tones, with a brown belt encircling his waist, he wears the attire of a warrior with understated grace. His single katana rests at his side, its scabbard weathered and worn, bearing the marks of battles past. Asian features, framed by a cascade of black hair, fall gently across his face, lending him an air of youthful introspection. His eyes, deep and soulful, gleam with a quiet intensity, embodying a wisdom beyond his years. Nagare's voice was cold, cutting through the tension like a blade. We slaughtered every last one of that cursed tribe. Anyone with those accursed eyes Tenshi no Mi was wiped from this world. Nure-onna's fury erupted, her voice echoing with venomous rage. Then explain why one of them dares stand before me now. Her eyes burned with a mixture of disbelief and unrelenting anger. Nagare stepped forward, his presence like a storm ready to break. Control yourself, he growled, his hand instinctively brushing the hilt of his blade. I've killed more of their kind than you could imagine. One more is nothing to me. I'll deal with it, swiftly and without fail. You'd better, Nure-onna spat, her voice laced with deadly promise. We didn't bring you here to fail. We brought you to end them. That's why you live, Nagare. Don't forget that. Nagare's eyes narrowed, his voice dropping to a deadly whisper. I don't fail. Remember that, Ohebi. By the time I'm done, even the whispers of their bloodline will be gone. Jishin scratched his head in confusion. What's the Tenshi no Mi? Nagare chuckled as he responded, it's an eye ability, one that only the Bodhi Zen tribe possesses. He continued, they thought they were holy enough to stand against the Sun King during the Great War. But before they could act, the Sun King sent us, the samurai, to wipe them out. That was a long time ago, back when we still worked with the Sun King. We don't anymore. He affectionately grabbed his little brother by the head, adding, it was before you were born, you big dummy. Adamus thought to himself, the Bodhi Zen tribe are the only ones who possess this eye ability. That's the same tribe the professor said were the true owners of the crystal. Is that why I have this power? Or is it because I'm related to them? He shouted at Nagare, you said people in the Bodhi Zen tribe possess these eyes, correct? Nagare affirmed coldly, yes. Adamus leaned in, his golden eyes narrowing. Now answer me this. Do they look like me? Nagare's reply was a dagger to the heart. You look just like them, and you're gonna die just like them. Adamus's new eyes flared to life, threads of golden light webbing across his vision. He saw it, the life strings binding Nagare's being. His thoughts whispered like thunder in his skull, if I touch it, I can see his past. See if he's telling the truth. From the side, the deputy's gruff warning cut through Adamus's rising storm. Hey, Vajra, don't let him get to your head. Stay focused. Maybe what he's saying isn't true. But we stick to the game plan, no matter what. Adamus snapped back to himself, grounding his fury with discipline. Yes. I understand. Deputy Stone turned, his weathered face carrying a rare shadow of confusion. Why are the samurai here? What's going on? Adamus shrugged, still keeping his stance. I don't know. Stone muttered, almost to himself, it's strange. The samurai are their own country, their own clan. One of the most successful on the planet. Paid assassins. What are they doing here? Then his tone hardened, cutting through the haze of uncertainty. But that's beside the point, kid. Are you ready for the plan? Adamus's jaw tightened, resolve returning to his voice. Yeah, I'm ready. With a sharp nod, Deputy Stone dissolved into the ground, phasing into the earth below and vanishing like a ghost. Deputy Stone harnessed his powers, seamlessly phasing through solid matter to pursue Mayor John underground. Adamus found himself alone, facing the formidable trio of Nagare, Jishin, and Nure-onna. With unwavering resolve, he locked eyes with the samurais, tapping into his eye ability, Tenshi no Mi. Through this power, Adamus perceived the intricate web of life energy and the ethereal strings that bound the samurais together. He reached out, his hand trembling as he grasped one of these invisible strings. A surge of light energy coursed through him, shocking his senses and unveiling the hidden path of the samurais. Within his mind's eye, Adamus witnessed Nagare's ruthless blade slicing through his people, individuals with the same gold eyes as his own. The scenes unfolded before him, painting a grim picture of devastation and loss. Then, he witnessed a chilling confrontation between his mother and Nagare. With tears streaming down his face, Adamus released the life energy string. His voice echoed through the chamber, filled with anguish. So it's true. You killed some of my people, he declared, his words laced with sorrow and disbelief. This explains why my mom has been so secretive. But that's beside the point. Why? Why did you do it? He demanded, his voice rising to a desperate cry as he confronted Nagare. Nagare's voice cut through the tension like a cold blade. His sword gleamed menacingly as he addressed Adamus, his tone as sharp as the edge of his blade. If I stopped to worry about every ant I crush beneath my feet, I wouldn't be able to walk, he began, his words dripping with disdain. Your people are insignificant, like ants to us. Obstacles that are meant to be stepped on. But before Nagare could continue, Nure-onna's sharp command interrupted. Stop talking and attack him, she ordered, her voice laced with impatience. With a swift and practiced motion, Nagare pointed his sword and plunged it into the ground. Earth realm, Hyakumon Hebai, he called out, his voice commanding the elements. Suddenly, the ground beneath Adamus erupted in a violent tremor, splitting open like a wound. From the chasm burst a swarm of serpents, colossal monstrosities with scales that shimmered like dark steel. Each snake was massive, thick as trees and long as towers, their bodies coiling with terrifying strength. Their eyes glowed with a predatory malice, forked tongues flickering as they tasted the air for Adamus's scent. The earth quaked beneath their advance, each movement pounding like thunder. With a collective hiss, the serpents lunged. Adamus moved instantly, his body becoming a blur of motion. With reflexes faster than light, he darted between their colossal strikes, slipping through gaps that should have been impossible. Each time he evaded, the massive snakes collided into walls and machinery, their gargantuan bodies demolishing steel and stone in showers of sparks and rubble. The underground chamber shook with every impact, as though the very world was being torn apart. But Adamus knew he couldn't dodge forever. The serpents pressed in, striking from every angle, their monstrous coils weaving together into an unbreakable net. In an instant, several wrapped around him at once, their crushing weight threatening to grind his bones to dust. Their scales scraped and tore at his skin as they coiled tighter, billions of tons of muscle constricting him from all sides. For a heartbeat, he vanished beneath the writhing mass of scaled horror. Then his golden eyes flared. With a roar, Adamus unleashed his strength. His fists shot outward, green energy blazing around them. Each punch detonated like a cannon blast, shattering coils and ripping through flesh. The chamber filled with thunder as he swung furiously, his fists breaking through layer after layer of crushing serpents. Snakes screamed and exploded into fragments of energy as his strikes tore them apart. He burst free of the living prison, golden light erupting around his form. The shattered bodies of the massive snakes fell in heaps, disintegrating into nothingness. But the victory was fleeting. The ground split again, deeper and wider this time. From the depths surged more of the titanic serpents, countless in number, their gargantuan forms blotting out the walls and ceiling. Their hissing chorus filled the chamber like a storm. For every serpent Adamus destroyed, another rose to take its place, endless and relentless, an ocean of nightmare coils threatening to drown him. Adamus clenched his fists tighter, his aura blazing brighter, ready for the storm. Adamus gritted his teeth in frustration. This ain't working, he muttered to himself, his breath coming in ragged gasps. All this running away is getting me tired, and I just used my energy blast to kill a whole bunch of these snakes. But they keep coming. As Adamus ran and dodged the snakes, his focus honed in on Nagare. He's doing a spell, he muttered to himself, his mind racing. It's not his superpower. He's a samurai. Samurais are human beings with no powers. I must disrupt his concentration so his spell will stop. With determination burning in his eyes, Adamus redirected his super speed and motion towards Nagare. He weaved through the serpents, each dodge bringing him closer to his target. Charging his fist with crackling energy, he prepared to strike Nagare and disrupt his spell. But just as Adamus was about to land the decisive blow, Nagare's brother, Jishin, intervened. With FTL plus reflexes, he grabbed hold of Adamus's hands, halting his attack mid-motion. The collision of their powers sparked in the air, illuminating the underwater base. In a dazzling display of energy, Adamus stumbled back as Jishin blocked his attack, the force of the collision pushing him off balance. His eyes widened as Jishin spoke, a cold determination in his voice. Big brother, release your spell. Let me fight him. It will be an honor to get my first kill on a Bodhi Zen tribe member, Jishin declared. Nagare relented, releasing his spell as the snakes vanished into thin air. With a nod, he settled into a meditation stance, his eyes focused on the unfolding battle. Meanwhile, Nure-onna's frustration boiled over. Stop playing games and hurry up and kill him, she demanded, her tone sharp with impatience. Jishin wasted no time. Raising one hand skyward, he began to summon a formidable energy, a toroidal field of power, swirling with an intensity that distorted the very reality around him. The ground beneath their feet quaked as the energy began to coalesce, forming a shimmering vortex that pulsated with devastating potential. Fjord energy engulfed Jishin, his body radiating with an aura so overwhelming that it threatened to tear apart the entire unknown base they stood upon. The structure groaned and trembled, its foundation barely able to withstand the raw force emanating from him. From his vantage point, Nagare, calm yet stern, watched his brother with calculating eyes. No, Jishin, he called out, his voice cutting through the chaos. Do not unleash the toroidal energy field. We are not here to destroy this base. Hearing his brother's words, Jishin hesitated, his gaze hardening. With a flick of his wrist, the energy dissipated, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. The trembling ground stilled, but the tension in the air remained palpable. Without a word, Jishin lowered his energy field and unsheathed his sword, the blade gleaming ominously under the faint, flickering light. His stance shifted, coiled, sharp, and ready. Then, in a flash faster than thought, he lunged toward Adamus. The air cracked, the floor splitting beneath his feet, as his strike streaked forward with the velocity of faster than light itself. Adamus braced, green energy exploding around him like a living storm. His aura roared, lightning crackling in jagged patterns across the floor. He planted his feet, golden eyes narrowing, already tracking Jishin's movements before they happened. When Jishin blurred, Adamus blurred with him, two forces moving faster than light, gliding in an arena where ordinary vision could not follow. Jishin's sword howled through the air, leaving black streaks of energy across reality itself. Left, right, down, up. Each swing wasn't just fast, it tore through space like a thunderclap, the edge screaming with lethal intent. But Adamus moved with impossible grace. He bent back under one strike, spun sideways past another, vaulted into a cartwheel as a slash cut a shockwave through the floor beneath him. Sparks erupted in bursts of green and black as their clashes distorted the chamber around them, every movement dragging light itself into jagged streaks. I can see most of his movements before he makes them, Adamus muttered, even as his body twisted, dodged, and leapt in the blur of combat. His voice sounded calm, otherworldly, vibrating with the rhythm of lightning. It's as if I'm living infinite battles with him all at once and experiencing them simultaneously. These eyes Tenchi no Mi give me the edge. Adamus struck back. His fists, glowing emerald, lashed out between sword strikes like bolts of divine thunder. Jishin parried with precision, his blade flashing with black energy as it intercepted each punch, the clashes sending off shockwaves that rippled the air like shattered glass. One punch glanced off the flat of the sword, another was deflected in a blinding whirl. For every strike Adamus threw, Jishin's blade answered like an eternal rhythm of steel. The battlefield became a storm of movement, two warriors weaving, striking, and evading at faster than light speeds. The ground fractured beneath them, walls buckled from the shockwaves, and sparks of green and black energy flashed like stars gliding in a void. As long as I stay just a little faster, I can dodge them, Adamus thought, weaving between a vicious overhead slash and a low spinning cut. His golden eyes blazed, scanning across infinite parallels, calculating every possibility. Then an opening. Adamus blurred forward, slipping past the arc of Jishin's blade with a precision born of eternity. His fist, burning with concentrated storm light, drove forward like a lightning comet. It smashed into Jishin's jaw with the fury of a collapsing star. The force ripped through the battlefield, creating a shockwave that split the ground apart. Jishin's body spun violently, sent hurtling backward faster than light itself. He slammed into his brother Nure, the impact knocking both samurai into the dirt in a tangle of limbs, dust, and fractured energy. Adamus stood tall in the aftershock, aura raging like an emerald tempest. His golden eyes never left them, sharp, unyielding, godlike as he watched the brothers struggle to rise under the weight of his strike. The air crackled with tension as Adamus stood his ground, his green energy swirling around him like a protective barrier. The battle was far from over, but in that moment, Adamus had seized the upper hand, his determination unwavering in the face of his adversaries. As Nure-onna watched the samurais rise once more, a sense of dread washed over her. She grasped at her hair in frustration, muttering to herself, "He's too strong. History's gonna repeat itself. He's going to release all the souls." With a determined resolve, she turned and fled the battlefield, her mind set on gathering the souls they had amassed in their garden. Meanwhile, Jishin and his brother regained their footing. Jishin offered a brief apology. "I'm sorry for that, brother." Nure responded calmly, "Brother, there's a good chance he's too strong for you. Let me take charge." Jishin stepped forward, shaking his head. "No, brother, please. I can do this. Let me prove I deserve my black belt, show you the techniques I've mastered." Nure narrowed his eyes, then gave a reluctant nod. "Fine. Just be careful. There's something different about this one." Jishin looked at Adamus, determination burning in his gaze. "But I still have this." He leveled his sword at Adamus, his voice resonating with power. "Mutation realm, Gahaku Ohebi." The ground shook violently, the metal flooring groaning as pipes rattled and sparks burst from the walls. Suddenly, a jagged portal ripped open beside Jishin, tearing through the air with a shriek like bending steel. From its swirling depths, a monstrous serpent forced its way into the chamber. Its body was black and purple, scales glistening like polished obsidian under the harsh fluorescent lights. Spikes as long as spears jutted from its back, scraping the ceiling as its colossal form coiled through the confined space. The air grew thick and suffocating as the creature reared up, its massive head looming high above Adamus. When its jaws opened, rows of dagger-sharp teeth glimmered wetly, and beyond them was no throat of flesh, only a devouring void. A darkness without end, pulling everything toward it like a hungry abyss. The entire base seemed to tremble under the weight of its presence. Adamus's golden eyes narrowed, his voice low but steady. "What is that?" Jishin smirked, his tone mocking as the serpent hissed in unison with him. "This, Vajra, is the Gahaku Ohebi, a serpent of legend. Its mouth is not a mouth, but a void to nothingness. Once swallowed, you'll fall forever lost to oblivion." The serpent coiled and lowered its head toward Adamus, its maw gaping wide as its tongue flickered like a spear. The summoner raised his sword. "This is your doom, the end of your life." Before Adamus could move, a firm hand gripped the summoner's shoulder. Nure's calm but stern voice broke through. "Brother, you know mutation techniques are dangerous. And this monster, where did you even find it? There are only a handful in existence. This spell is far too reckless." Jishin turned, smiling despite the tension, his sword still glowing in his grasp. "I told you, Nure. I've been training. It's fine. I can handle him. I've worked on this spell for years." Nure studied his brother's determined expression, then slowly nodded. His hand slipped away, leaving Jishin to face the beast alone. With silent resolve, he stood back and watched as the clash began. Adamus stared at the massive serpent, its abyssal jaws dripping with menace. His voice was dry, edged with unease. "It looks hungry. This looks bad." Without hesitation, he bolted, his footsteps thundering across the metal flooring as Gahaku Ohebi lunged. The beast surged forward with terrifying speed, 4 times the speed of light, its monstrous form tearing through the underground base. Adamus's heart pounded as he sprinted, golden flames sparking in his wake. "I gotta go faster," he growled, pushing himself beyond his limits. His body blurred, accelerating to 10 times the speed of light, each step bending reality around him. But the serpent's speed suddenly spiked, its colossal body accelerating 100-fold, going at 100 times the speed of light, eclipsing his escape. Its shadow swallowed Adamus whole as the gaping maw closed in. He turned, eyes wide only to see a void of teeth and darkness rushing toward him. The sheer force of the beast's movement crushed the air, and before Adamus could react, he was devoured. Darkness consumed him. He tumbled endlessly down the serpent's abyssal gullet, screaming as gravity itself betrayed him. Above, the monstrous jaws loomed like a distant sky, closing shut with finality. "I can't die like this," his thoughts screamed, panic clawing at him. "I wish I could fly, there's nothing to grab onto, nothing to run on." As Adamus plummeted, the abyss roared around him. His body twisted in the pull, and a whisper broke from his lips. "Oh no, what I'm going to do." The void wasn't crushing him, it was filling him. He felt it, a torrent of energy searing through his veins, burning hotter than fire. His green flames erupted violently, wrapping him in a raging storm that roared against the darkness. His thoughts sharpened. "What is this? I feel stronger. It's like the emptiness itself is feeding me. Then his golden eyes lit like twin suns in the abyss. In that light, he saw them life strings. Countless threads weaving through the void, glimmering faintly. But one shimmered brighter than the rest, pulsing with fierce vitality. Wait, those life strings. If I can pull one. He focused, his gaze cutting into the endless dark. The radiant string of Jishin glowed before him. With a surge of will, Adamus extended his hand. The golden thread unraveled from the serpent's gaping maw, slipping past its jagged teeth, spilling downward like a beam of light through shadow. His flames surged again as the thread reached him. Adamus seized it, fingers closing tight. Clutching it, Adamus pulled. He climbed with FTL plus speed, the golden thread burning under his grip as he ascended through the abyss. The serpent's maw loomed closer, its fangs already shut until, with one final, explosive pull, Adamus burst upward. His body erupted from the serpent's mouth in a flash of green light. Shattering teeth scattered like glass, the deafening crack echoing through the base as the beast roared in agony. Adamus landed in the open, his chest heaving, golden energy blazing around him like fire. The chamber groaned as the serpent's body writhed. From its shattered jaws, a blaze of green and gold erupted. Adamus burst free, tearing through the beast's maw, his golden eyes burning like suns as he landed on his feet, silent and unyielding. Farther down the hall, Nagare clapped his younger brother's shoulder. You did well, Jishin. I didn't think you could defeat him by yourself. Jishin smiled, pride swelling in his chest. I told you, brother, you can trust me. I think I'm finally ready to take the test for my black belt. But Nagare's smile faded. A wave of unnatural energy pressed against his skin, cold and suffocating. He turned and froze. He's alive. Both samurai turned slowly. Their eyes widened as Adamus emerged fully from the serpent's broken mouth, flames dancing around him, his silence heavier than any words. Jishin's sword trembled in his hand, disbelief flooding his face. I can't disappoint my brother. I can't let this child outshine me. How did you escape? He demanded, his voice cracking. He glanced down and saw it. A golden string wound around his waist, stretching out toward Adamus, glowing with divine energy. And why is there this gold energy connecting me to you? Then suddenly, the golden life string vanished. Adamus said nothing. His gaze locked on Jishin, eyes blazing, unshakable in their resolve. Nagare gripped his brother's shoulder tightly. Brother, stop. Let me fight him. He's too strong for you now. Something happened in the serpent's belly, his power has grown. But Jishin shook him off, anger blazing in his eyes. No, I won't be overshadowed. Kohaku Uebami attack again. The serpent bellowed, its colossal body snapping forward with impossible speed. Its void jaws gaped, rushing at Adamus like the collapse of a world. Adamus's mind raced. This serpent is too fast. I can't dodge every strike. With his golden eyes, he peered into Nagare's life string. Threads unraveled before him, revealing not just Nagare's path, but the battles of his tribe, their people clashing against the samurai long ago. He saw their struggles, their fury, their techniques etched in blood and memory. Through the golden thread he lived those battles, felt their blades, their stances, their timing. In a heartbeat, parallel simulation pulled him through countless lives and countless duels. He practiced their techniques, mastered their forms, and carried them into himself as if he had trained for centuries. His hand tightened on the glowing string. I have an idea. Adamus grabbed Jishin's life strings and spoke with iron resolve. Switch, he commanded. The golden life string blazed, weaving reality itself. In an instant, Adamus and Jishin's positions reversed. Jishin staggered, disoriented. His eyes darted around the chamber in panic. Wait, where am I? He gasped. He turned and froze. Towering above him, the colossal serpent loomed, its void maw wide, rushing straight toward him like a collapsing world. Kohaku Uebami, stop, he screamed, voice breaking with fear. But the monster did not listen. With a final, horrific lunge, the serpent's jaws closed around Jishin. His scream echoed once, piercing and desperate, then was swallowed into silence as the beast devoured him whole. The chamber stilled. Adamus stood firm, the golden string fading from his hand as the serpent's massive coils began to flicker. Without its master, Kohaku Uebami unraveled, its enormous body dissolving into smoke and shadow until nothing remained. Nagare's focus locked on his brother as he watched Jishin swallowed alive. Horror tightened in his chest as the truth hit him. His brother was gone. No, not Jishin, he whispered. For a heartbeat he forgot Adamus stood right in front of him, now in the spot Jishin had occupied after the switch. Adamus's grief snapped into fury. He stepped in and drove a punch into Nagare's face, sending him flying. Nagare somersaulted backward and caught himself with practiced agility. You killed my brother, you little gold-eyed brat, he seethed as he rose. Adamus shot back, voice hard. He killed himself. It was his spell. And your samurai slaughtered babies. Your people had to die, Nagare cut in, eyes cold. They were in the way of our goals. Just like you are now. Adamus clenched his fists, golden eyes blazing with resolve. His life is worth billions of your people, Nagare said, unyielding. Adamus slid into his fighting stance. Nagare mirrored him, drawing all three swords, the katana in his grip while the Weikaizashi and Tanto floated above his shoulders. With a swift motion he chanted, Lightning Realm Rage and no Ken. Lightning bloomed across the Weikaizashi and Tanto. Attack, he shouted. The twin blades surged at Adamus at FTL plus speed. The Weikaizashi, moving at faster than FTL plus, hurtled toward Adamus's head. With FTL plus reflexes, he barely dodged it, feeling the blade graze his face. Blood trickled from the gash on his forehead as he staggered back. The Weikaizashi embedded itself in the ground behind him. But before Adamus could fully recover, the Tanto came hurtling towards him. It was inches away from piercing his heart, but Adamus reacted with lightning speed. He thrust his hand forward, taking the blade through his palm. A searing shock ran through his body, and he let out a primal scream of pain. As he grappled with the agony, the Weikaizashi rose from the ground behind him. Adamus didn't even have time to react before it stabbed through the back of his other hand. He cried out, the pain intensifying as the blades pinned him in place. Nagare, using the blades embedded in Adamus's hands, raised him up into the air. Adamus hung suspended, his arms spread wide like a cross. Nagare approached, katana in hand, ready to deliver the finishing blow. As Adamus hovered in the air, the crackling lightning from Nagare's blade surged through his body, each strike threatening to shatter his resolve. Blood trickled from his lips as he strained to speak. Nagare approached slowly, a smug grin etched upon his face as he gripped his sword tightly. Any final words? He sneered. You gold-eyed freak. Adamus coughed, dragging breath from the fire still raging inside him. When I seized your life string, I saw you butcher the innocent of my tribe, he growled. You boast like a warrior, but you prey on the helpless. That is not strength. That is cowardice and deceit. I watched our men stand, and our women fight with a courage you will never understand. You won through treachery, not skill. He rose, golden eyes burning. I will get out of here. I will not die here. Naguere's grin widened. Words won't save you now, Gold Eye, he scoffed. But you're different. That green energy that surrounds you, it's unique. Adamus glared defiantly. It's the essence of my ancestors, he declared. And it will be the power that ends your tyranny. Naguere's voice echoed through the air once more, lightning realm rage and no ken. The katana in his hand crackled with raw power, a beam of lightning materializing before it as he launched it toward Adamus. Adamus braced himself for the attack, but then a thought struck him. Wait. I can absorb energy, he realized. With determination, he focused, drawing in the lightning surging through his body, even as the other two blades the Wakaizashi and the Tonto pierced his hands, causing him excruciating pain. With a surge of willpower, Adamus absorbed all the energy from the two blades, feeling the crackling power coursing through him. His muscles tensed as he redirected the absorbed energy, channeling it into a beam of vibrant green energy. The emerald energy surged forth from his chest, radiant and pulsating with raw power. The air crackled with anticipation as the green energy clashed with Naguere's lightning. A blinding explosion of light erupted as the two opposing forces collided, sending shockwaves rippling through the air. Dust and debris filled the space around them, obscuring vision and creating an otherworldly atmosphere of chaos. For a moment, time seemed to stand still as the forces battled fiercely against each other. The air hummed with energy, charged with the intensity of their conflict. Sparks flew in every direction, illuminating the darkness with flashes of brilliant light. Then, with a deafening roar, the energies finally reached their peak. The explosion erupted with unparalleled force, unleashing a shockwave that rocked the entire area. The ground trembled beneath their feet as the blast engulfed them, engulfing everything in its path in a dazzling display of power. As the dust began to settle, the true extent of the devastation became clear. Adamus stood tall amidst the chaos, his chest heaving with exertion. Around him, the remnants of Naguere's lightning crackled in the air, fading into nothingness. Adamus's green energy flickered around him, its brilliance dimming with each passing moment. I'm almost out of energy and stamina, he muttered to himself, feeling the strain of the battle taking its toll. The entire layer was crumbling around them, the once solid dome now cracked and leaking water. Adamus scanned the chaos, searching for Nagare, and finally spotted him amidst the falling debris. Nagare smirked at Adamus as his three swords floated back into his sword holder. I will see you again, Gold Eyes, he taunted, his voice barely audible over the noise of the crumbling layer. With a swift motion, he opened a portal and vanished into it, leaving Adamus behind. Hopefully Deputy Stone is still in another room, he muttered. He glanced around at the shattered corridors and ruined sectors, the wreckage their fight had carved through the base. I'm still nowhere near him. I have to find him. We don't have time. This place is about to sink and explode. He took off at a light speed. The base stretched into thousands corridors, metal grating shuddering under his steps. Water blasted from ruptured pipes and poured through ceiling vents, flooding rooms as he ran. Doors buckled. Lights flickered. Sirens wailed. Guards shoved past each other in panic, slipping in ankle-deep water as bulkheads slammed and failed. Adamus grunted and kept pushing forward, blood from his torn hands streaking the rails he brushed. He let his golden eyes open fully. Life strings flared into sight, weaving through walls and floors like luminous veins. He searched the torrent of threads until one shone with steady resolve. Deputy Stone. Adamus angled right, then left, cutting through a cross corridor and vaulting a fallen support beam as the flood climbed higher. He followed the golden thread to a reinforced doorway at the detention wing. A head popped out from inside the room where John and the snake woman were held. Over here, Adamus. Deputy Stone shouted. Adamus blurred forward in a burst of speed, skidding into the room and leaving a thin trail of blood behind him. I watched the whole fight, kid. You're impressive, Deputy Stone remarked as Adamus arrived, blood dripping from his hands. Thank you. I try my best, Adamus replied, his voice strained as he managed a weak smile despite the pain throbbing in his hands. The blood from his wounds dripped onto the floor, forming crimson pools beneath him. Right beside Deputy Stone stood Mayor John and the other blue-skinned Galacticos, their hands bound by handcuffs. The Galacticos' expressions ranged from defiance to shock as they realized their plans had unraveled before their eyes. We need to hurry up and get out of here. This place is about to sink, Adamus urged. I know. Help me grab all of these people, and let's run to the jet, Deputy Stone said urgently, his voice echoing with a sense of urgency. Sheriff Fox already knows everything. She's above the water, waiting for us in the jet. We just have to swim up. Tone laced with urgency as he surveyed the room. But before we go, I have to take pictures of the documents. There are documents of the crimes and plans they had regarding the souls they've collected, Deputy Stone explained, his voice low and urgent, echoing in the dimly lit room. People they kidnapped from their homes and put them in these tubes to suck their souls. We need pictures of all of it. His words hung heavy in the air, the weight of the horrors described sending shivers down their spines. We need evidence to expose them, he added. Before Deputy Stone could start taking pictures of the documents, Mayor John's laughter echoed in the room, a chilling sound that seemed to mock their efforts. Even with all the proof in the world, it means nothing, he scoffed, his voice dripping with arrogance. When we, the Galacticos, the rulers and leaders of the great country, the grid, are involved, no one will believe you. We control the news, we are the politicians and the mayors and the judges. All of us will be free by tomorrow morning, and not one news station will tell your story. Deputy Stone's expression hardened as he confronted Mayor John face to face, his gaze unwavering. I have a plan for that, he retorted firmly, his voice cutting through the air like a blade. One of my closest friends, Lewis, owns a news station that's not owned by the government Galacticos. I already called her. By the end of today, your face will be on the news, and the whole country will know about you sick, blue-skinned aliens Galacticos, pretending like you're helping us. Mayor John's grin widened, a sinister glint in his eyes. You must not know who we are, he taunted, his voice smooth and venomous. I'll say it again, by the end of tomorrow, we will all be free. And you, Deputy Stone, will be fired. And that kid right there, he gestured towards Adamus with disdain, we would never see him again. That, I promise you. His words hung in the air like a dark omen, filled with menace and foreboding. Suddenly, a loud wail echoed through the room, followed by screams of terror. Adamus and Deputy Stone hurriedly turned to the window, the same one the Nure-onna had looked through. They witnessed an alarming sight, the Nure-onna pressing a button, causing all the containers holding the souls to open. The souls poured out, screaming for help. Adamus and Deputy Stone watched in horror as Nure-onna's mouth stretched open impossibly wide, devouring the souls one by one. Her body started to morph, contorting as she absorbed the souls. With a deafening scream, she declared, nobody will take my souls from me. If this place is going to sink, it's not going to sink without me eating every single soul. As they witnessed Nure-onna's monstrous transformation into a giant snake lady, Adamus and Deputy Stone sprang into action. They turned around, grabbing the documents and Mayor John and the other Galacticos. Deputy Stone's voice was urgent. There's too many of them, and I'm not fast enough to help you carry all of them. This place is gonna sink in like 2 minutes. Adamus, his mind racing, formed a hand sign and gathered his life energy strings, connecting them to John, the other Galacticos, and Deputy Stone. The strings became visible, tangible, and touchable. I only have a little bit of energy left, Adamus announced. But I think I have enough to get us out of here. He focused his green energy, his gold life strings connecting everyone, causing them to glow in his green aura. Adamus's green aura enveloped everyone connected to his life energy, infusing them with a surge of light speed energy. Even Mayor John and the other Galacticos, still in handcuffs, found themselves floating, their movements dictated by the force of Adamus's power. With everyone now in sync, Adamus took off, his strides propelling them forward with incredible speed. They raced through the chaos, dodging falling debris and swirling water, each step synchronized to Adamus's determined rhythm. The path ahead was treacherous, with barriers collapsing and water flooding into the lair. But Adamus's resolve was unyielding. With a burst of energy, he zigzagged through the obstacles, leading the group with unwavering determination. As they reached the waterlogged area, Adamus didn't slow down. Instead, he propelled himself forward, swimming with unparalleled speed, dragging the others along with him. Even Mayor John and the Galacticos, still in handcuffs, floated along in their wake, their fate tied to Adamus's will. Finally, they arrived at the waiting jet, the beacon of safety amidst the turmoil. With a final surge of energy, Adamus guided them all on board, their bodies still glowing with the vibrant green aura of his life energy. Inside the jet, a sense of relief washed over them. With practiced precision, everyone boarded the jet, their relief palpable as they settled into the safety of the aircraft. Inside, Adamus felt the strain of maintaining the connection, but with one last effort, he released his life force, severing the connection to everyone. As the jet soared into the sky, leaving behind the chaos and danger below, Adamus let out a deep breath, feeling the weight of their escape. Sheriff Fox, at the controls, steered the aircraft smoothly, her gaze focused ahead. Are you guys okay? You all got the proof. I can see y'all found Mayor John and the rest of the Galacticos, Sheriff Fox remarked, glancing over her shoulder at the group. Inside the jet, everyone was soaking wet, still shaken from the ordeal. Some were pale and nauseous, while others leaned against the seats, exhausted and trembling. Deputy Stone chuckled weakly, trying to lighten the mood. Just a little sick from moving at the speed of light. This kid right here has some pretty neat powers. Adamus managed a faint smile of gratitude at the compliment. Thank you. Sheriff Fox's expression turned serious. So, we are going back to the station, right? Deputy Stone shook his head. No. As you can see, the snake lady's out there, and I feel like something bad is about to happen. Suddenly, the jet began to shake violently, jolting everyone in their seats. Adamus and Deputy Stone exchanged alarmed looks, their senses on high alert. Rushing to the windows, they peered out, their hearts pounding with apprehension. Dark storm clouds loomed ominously on the horizon, crackling with bolts of lightning. A fierce wind buffeted the jet, threatening to tear it apart. Below, the waters churned, swirling with an unnatural ferocity. From the depths of the sea, a vast shape rose. Deputy Stone's voice trembled. Nure-onna has taken her ultimate form, the Ohebi Orochi no Megami. The serpent goddess towered over the ocean, her sinuous body coiling with effortless power. 9 heads surfaced from the churning waves, each crowned with gleaming scales and fangs. On the central head sat Nure-onna herself, graceful and unnerving, her hair flowing like silk as she guided the beast as one mind. Sunlight played over scales that shifted from deep emerald to iridescent blue. Water poured from her as she breached, spinning into a vortex at her base. Her immensity cast a shadow across the sea, and the jet's occupants felt the weight of her gaze. She lifted her heads and roared. Lightning danced between her jaws, bathing the storm-dark sky in electric blue. The air crackled. The sea trembled. Serene atop the central crown, Nure-onna looked upon the world with ancient calm. She was the Ohebi Orochi no Megami, sovereign of sea and shore. Adamus and Sheriff Fox both exclaimed simultaneously, "What's going on?" Deputy Stone's voice was grave as he explained, "She must have consumed all the souls within the lair. If they had been released, they would have ascended straight to judgment by God. She couldn't allow that, so she absorbed them into herself, making her more powerful." Nure-onna, now in her ultimate form as Ohebi Orochi no Megami, spoke for the first time, her voice resonating throughout the jet. "I need more souls," she declared, as she began to slither away through the water, heading towards the dome cities. Adamus's cry echoed through the cabin. "She's going towards the city. We have to stop her." He tried to summon his energy, but he found himself drained, collapsing to his knees in frustration. With a furious punch to the ground, he roared, "Damn it! I'm out of energy." As the jet continued to speed through the sky, the urgency of their situation weighed heavily upon them. With Ohebi Orochi no Megami insatiable hunger driving her towards the city, they knew they had to act fast to prevent further devastation. Deputy Stone helped Adamus up, reassuring him, "It's okay, Vajra. You've done enough for today." Adamus pushed back, insisting, "No, I can do more." But before he could continue, John's laughter cut through the tension. "If you idiots hadn't interfered, it would have been a slow process. No one would have even noticed. But now you've got the yokai met in hungry. She's going to destroy many dome cities to feed her hunger. You morons." Deputy Stone's fist collided with John's face, knocking him out cold. The other Galacticos people looked on in terror, hanging their heads in shame. As the jet flew in front of Ohebi Orochi no Megami, Sheriff Fox spoke up, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Well, at least we were faster than the creature. We've got at least 10 minutes until she reaches one of the dome cities. Then we're in some trouble. We've got to come up with a plan." The urgency of the situation hung heavy in the air as they pondered their next move. Time was running out, and the fate of countless lives hung in the balance. Deputy Stone grabbed his phone, his fingers moving swiftly over the screen as he dialed. Sheriff Fox glanced over, concern etched on her face. "Who are you calling?" she asked, her hands steady on the controls. "I'm calling the palace in District S," Deputy Stone replied, his voice tense. "They have complete control of the military. Hopefully, the king will bring us back up. They have a duty to protect each district, especially when it comes to an A-level threat." As the line connected, Deputy Stone wasted no time. "Hi, it's Deputy Stone. We need the Air Force or the Navy. Bring somebody. We have an A-level threat. It's a yokai that transformed into a Ohebi Orochi no Megami." The response on the other end was less than encouraging. "There's no such thing as yokais. Plus, I heard about you, Deputy Stone. You're a troublemaker," the voice retorted before hanging up abruptly. Deputy Stone cursed under his breath, his frustration palpable as he tossed his phone to the ground. "Damn it. They're not coming," he muttered, his jaw clenched with frustration. "We have to get everyone to evacuate," Deputy Stone insisted urgently, his voice tight with concern. He wasted no time, immediately reaching for his phone to call the sheriff's office. Get ready for battle, he commanded into the phone, his tone firm and resolute. Tell all the officers to grab the citizens for evacuation. We need to get them out of here, now. His words hung heavy in the air, the urgency of the situation pressing down on them all as they prepared for the impending battle against the monstrous serpent. Sheriff Cat nodded in agreement, her eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of danger. That's perfect, but I don't think it's enough, she stated firmly. Tell them to bring the biggest weapons we have, she emphasized, her tone laced with urgency. As Deputy Stone relayed the message, Adamus stepped forward, his gaze focused and determined. I have an idea, he declared, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. I'm out of energy, but I think I can get more. When I touched one of the samurai's life strings, and I saw him fighting my people, I saw a special technique they used. Deputy Stone's brow furrowed with curiosity. What are you doing, Vajra? He asked, his eyes fixed on Adamus. Adamus closed his eyes, entering a meditative stance. Cosmic Mudra, he murmured softly, his fingers forming the sacred gesture. With a sense of reverence, Adamus brought the tips of his thumb and index finger together, forming a perfect circle. This gesture represents the infinite and boundless nature of the omniverse, he explained, his voice calm and resolute, as well as the gathering and focusing of universal energy. As Adamus focused on gathering energy, a surge of power coursed through him, knitting the wounds in his hands and reigniting the green flames around his body. His golden eyes burned bright once more. With renewed strength, he rose to his full height and declared, I feel better, but I don't think it's gonna be enough. Before he could finish speaking, a deafening roar split the sky. The giant serpent unleashed a beam of black energy that tore past the jet, narrowly missing its hull and rattling everyone inside. The monster's presence loomed larger than ever as it descended upon one of the dome cities, its shadow drowning the skyline. We need to move fast. Sheriff Cat shouted over the engine's roar. Her eyes locked on Adamus. I have an idea. Since your power evolves around absorbing energy, we'll take you straight to the biggest source in the city, the Dark Star Reactor. Deputy Stone nodded sharply. That's perfect. Adamus's eyes widened in realization. Sheriff Fox added grimly, Dark Star reactors are scattered across every district. They're the lifeblood of our cities. You can take as much energy as you need, Sheriff Cat continued, determination blazing in her eyes as she steered the jet toward the nearest reactor. How far away is the nearest Dark Star reactor? Adamus asked urgently. Sheriff Fox glanced at the coordinates. Approximately cover 1.8 trillion meters away. It's gonna take us 20 minutes to get there. Adamus didn't hesitate. With a determined expression, he pushed past the rushing air at the jet's doorway, the storm of wind battering against him. Vajra, where are you going? Deputy Stone shouted after him, worry heavy in his voice. Take a break. You've done enough. Save your strength until we reach the reactor, let us fly you there. But Adamus shook his head firmly. No. I'm faster than this jet. Without another word, he leapt into the open sky. His body cut through the roaring wind, green energy flaring around him like a shield. The rush of descent whipped through his hair and clothes as he plummeted, golden eyes locked with unshakable resolve. He struck the ocean with a thunderous splash, the force sending towering waves outward. For a brief moment, the sea swallowed him whole, then he erupted back to the surface, water exploding around him as his aura ignited brighter than before. If I'd stayed in that jet, it would have taken too long to reach the Dark Star reactor, he muttered, his voice carried away by the wind. But me? I can cover 1.8 trillion meters in minutes. 5, maybe 10. I just have to push past the limit. His feet slammed against the ocean's surface, each stride like a hammer blow that turned water into solid ground beneath him. Ripples and shockwaves trailed in his wake as he accelerated, momentum building with every heartbeat. Muscles strained, power roared in his veins, and Adamus surged forward at FTL+. As he ran, he felt the energy surging within him, a vibrant green glow enveloping his form. I'm not just running, he reminded himself between gasping breaths. I'm bending space, time, and dimensions around me. With each stride, Adamus tapped into the power of his green energy, manipulating the very fabric of reality to propel himself forward. He zipped through cities and towns, a blur of motion cutting through the landscape. His body pushed to the brink, muscles screaming in protest, but Adamus refused to relent. Faster, he urged himself, channeling more of his energy into his movements. I can go faster. The air crackled with the energy swirling around him as he raced across the cities, mountains, lakes, oceans, bending and folding space to his will. City lights blurred into streaks as he hurtled through, his surroundings becoming a kaleidoscope of color and motion. With each passing moment, Adamus felt his green energy growing stronger, amplifying his speed to unimaginable levels. He surged through the air, defying the laws of physics as he approached the Dark Star reactor facility. As Adamus approached the Dark Star reactor facility, he beheld a structure of colossal proportions, rising like a titanic sentinel against the horizon. The facility sprawled across the landscape, its metallic surface gleaming under the sun's rays. Massive support beams, thick as ancient redwoods, reached skyward, supporting a labyrinth of interconnected structures. Towers and domes dotted the landscape, each housing critical components of the reactor's complex machinery. The heart of the facility was a gargantuan sphere, encased in layers of reinforced magical alloy and surrounded by a shimmering energy shield. This sphere, the core of the Dark Star reactor, was a marvel of scientific engineering, capable of containing the raw power of dark matter and nuclear fusion. Giant conduits snaked across the landscape, carrying cables thicker than a man's torso. These cables stretched for kilometers, connecting the reactor to distant dome cities, supplying them with the boundless energy generated within the facility. As Adamus drew closer, he could see the intricate web of connections spreading out from the reactor like a vast neural network. Arcs of electricity crackled along the cables, illuminating the landscape with a brilliant display of light. Around the perimeter of the facility, towering walls rose high into the sky, bristling with sensors and defensive emplacements. These walls were a testament to the importance of the reactor, safeguarding it from any threat that dared to approach. The air hummed with the energy of the facility, a constant thrum that reverberated through the earth itself. Adamus could feel the power emanating from the reactor, a palpable force that seemed to pulse with life. Standing before the Dark Star reactor, Adamus couldn't help but be impressed by the genius of the Galacticos people. I'm still amazed, he murmured to himself, admiring the monumental achievement before him. It was incredible to think that the Galacticos people had built this Dark Star reactor. The sheer scale and scientific sophistication were a testament to their ingenuity and technological prowess. As Adamus took in the sight, he felt a deep sense of respect for the civilization that had created such a marvel. Adamus dashed into the heart of the Dark Star reactor facility, his footsteps echoing through the vast chamber. The air crackled with energy, and the entire room seemed to pulsate with a vibrant glow. In the center of the facility loomed the colossal ball of energy, a swirling vortex of light and color that mesmerized Adamus with its sheer intensity. It radiated every hue of the rainbow, casting prismatic beams of light in all directions. Adamus approached cautiously, his gaze fixed on the stairs leading up to the energy ball. Each step seemed to thrum with power, and he hesitated for a moment, overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of what lay before him. I don't think I can handle all of that power, he murmured to himself, but there was no turning back now. Steeling himself, Adamus began to ascend the stairs, his heart pounding in his chest. As he reached the top, a worker suddenly appeared before him, their eyes wide with surprise. Hey, kid. Who are you? Do you have a pass or something? Do you work here? They asked, their voice tinged with suspicion. Adamus grinned, his confidence unwavering. No, he replied simply, before tapping into his super speed and darting past the bewildered worker. Reaching the center of the energy ball, Adamus paused for a moment, feeling the raw power coursing through the air around him. With a deep breath, he extended his hands towards the swirling mass of energy and began to absorb it. The energy surged into him, filling every fiber of his being with its overwhelming force. It was like nothing he had ever experienced before, a torrent of power beyond comprehension. Adamus closed his eyes, focusing all of his willpower on harnessing the energy, his body as glowing with an otherworldly light. Slowly, he began to draw the energy into himself, the colors of the rainbow swirling around him in a dazzling display. As Adamus gathered energy at the Dark Star Reactor facility, a great calamity befell the world. From the depths of ancient legend emerged the monstrous Ohebi Orochi no Megami, a seven-headed serpent of unparalleled terror. With each of her colossal heads wreathed in flame, she descended upon the unsuspecting dome cities, leaving devastation in her wake. The first of her monstrous heads unleashed torrents of searing black light, slicing through the sky like celestial blades. These beams of destruction rained down upon the dome cities, their formidable barriers offering little resistance against the serpent's wrath. As the beams struck, buildings crumbled like paper in a storm, reduced to rubble in an instant. Innocent people fled in terror, their screams drowned out by the deafening roar of destruction. The cities, just one city is approximately 24,860 miles long, were engulfed in chaos as Ohebi Orochi no Megami's relentless assault continued. With each passing moment, the serpent's heads lashed out, claiming more lives with their deadly rays. People scrambled for their lives, their desperate attempts to escape met with futility against the overwhelming power of their foe. And with every innocent soul lost, a macabre spectacle unfolded, souls ascending from their lifeless bodies, only to be ensnared by one of the serpent's ravenous heads. Ohebi Orochi no Megami's heads feasted upon the souls of the fallen, their ethereal forms devoured by the insatiable hunger of the beast. The air crackled with the energy of the dying, their essence fueling the serpent's power as she continued her rampage. In the chaos, the city's finest, clad in formidable robot suits, fought valiantly against the monstrous serpent. But their efforts proved futile as they were overwhelmed by the sheer might of Ohebi Orochi no Megami. Cops fell one by one, their once imposing forms reduced to mere wreckage in the wake of the serpent's wrath. Above, helicopters, jets circled, their blades slicing through the air as they attempted to provide support. But Ohebi Orochi no Megami's wrath knew no bounds, and the helicopters, jets fell from the sky like broken toys, consumed by the fury of the beast. The streets ran red with blood as the battle raged on, the city's defenders locked in a desperate struggle against an enemy they could scarcely comprehend. And amidst the carnage, Ohebi Orochi no Megami's heads continued to feast, their hunger insatiable, their thirst for souls unquenchable. Within the depths of the Dark Star Reactor facility, Adamus assumed a meditative stance. His hands stretched out, fingertips delicately touching the swirling ball of dark matter and nuclear fusion. As he absorbed the energy, it enveloped him, suffusing his being with its raw power. The dark matter and nuclear fusion slowly transformed, merging with Adamus's own green energy. His eyes glowed with an intense yellow hue as he began to hum, a low, resonant sound that reverberated through the chamber. Om Mani Padme Hum, Adamus chanted, the ancient mantra echoing off the walls as he focused his mind and spirit. With each repetition, the energy surged within him, intertwining with the vibrations of the sacred words. As the meditation continued, Adamus felt himself transcending mortal limits, his body becoming a conduit for the power he now commanded. With a surge of determination, he rose to his feet, radiating with a brilliance he had never known before. I can probably now run 1.8 trillion meters in 10 seconds, he declared, his voice filled with conviction. I need to hurry. My body cannot contain this much energy for long. With that, Adamus launched himself into motion, his form a blur as he raced through the corridors of the facility. The air crackled with energy as he pushed himself to the limit, his every step a testament to the incredible power coursing through him. As he hurtled towards his destination, Adamus's senses sharpened, his perception heightened to an supernatural level. Time seemed to slow around him as he streaked through the darkness, propelled by a force beyond comprehension. Atop the tallest skyscraper, Adamus stood, his gaze fixed upon the monstrous form of Ohebi Orochi no Megami as it wreaked havoc below. The city trembled under the serpent's relentless assault, its 9 heads unleashing destruction upon everything in their path. From the skies, the jet carrying Deputy Stone and Sheriff Cat soared into view, coming to a halt before Adamus. Need help? Deputy Stone called out urgently. Adamus shook his head, his resolve unyielding. No, he replied, his voice firm and unwavering. Just grab as many people as you can and get them out of here. I've got this. As the jet veered away to carry out his orders, Adamus turned his attention back to the serpent below. Ohebi Orochi no Megami continued its rampage, buildings crumbling and souls being devoured with every passing moment. With a deep breath, Adamus steeled himself for the battle ahead. He had faced many challenges in his life, but none as formidable as this. Adamus streaked through the air, a beacon of defiance against the looming menace of Ohebi Orochi no Megami. As he neared the colossal serpent, he shouted into the chaos below. Hey, you giant bully. Nure-onna. Or should I say Ohebi Orochi no Megami? You have too many names. I'm confused, but that's beside the point, he called out, his voice carrying across the city. With a pointed finger, he addressed the monstrous creature. I will give you one more chance. Leave now or face my wrath. But Ohebi Orochi no Megami was unmoved, her head snarling in defiance. Your people, the Bodhizen tribe, ran around Hyperversus and timelines, destroying and sealing away my people, the yokais, she hissed, her voice dripping with malice. We are demons from hell who escaped, roaming worlds, devouring souls, stopping them from going to heaven to be judged by God. As she spoke, her giant serpent heads roared, gathering a monstrous blast of black energy. You will not seal me or take any of my souls away from me, she declared, her intent clear as the dark energy crackled around her. Adamus braced himself, summoning the green energy he had absorbed from the Dark Star Reactor. With feet planted firmly, he cupped his hands together at his side, a fierce determination burning in his eyes. Then, with a mighty shout of dark fusion blast, he extended his hands forward, palms facing outward, releasing a concentrated beam of energy toward his adversary. The clash was cataclysmic. The black energy of Ohebi Orochi no Megami collided with Adamus's green energy, the two forces locked in a titanic struggle. The beams surged back and forth, each seeking to overpower the other in a display of raw power. The air crackled with energy as the beams collided, sending shockwaves rippling through the city below. Reality fractured in the blast, a higher dimensional rip tearing through existence. From its depths surged immense higher dimensional pressure, distorting everything around it as the clash escalated. Then, with a deafening roar, both energies exploded in a blinding flash of light. The force of the explosion was staggering, leveling buildings and sending debris flying in all directions. The city was engulfed in dust and rubble, the aftermath of the titanic clash between light and darkness. As the dust settled, Adamus stood amidst the wreckage, his form battered but unbowed. As Adamus's eyes fluttered open, he found himself buried beneath the rubble of fallen buildings. With a grunt, he pushed aside the heavy debris, his heart sinking as he surveyed the devastation around him. Everywhere he looked, buildings lay in ruin, their once proud structures reduced to nothing but rubble and dust. Dead bodies littered the streets, their torsos split in half, a grim testament to the ferocity of the battle that had raged. Tears welled in Adamus's eyes as he took in the scene before him. I need to be stronger, he whispered, his voice choked with emotion. All these innocent people died because I wasn't strong enough. But then, amidst the carnage, he spotted her, a little girl with one leg, her face bruised and battered, her clothes torn and dirty. She reached out a trembling hand towards him, her eyes filled with fear and desperation. Can you help me find my parents? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Adamus's heart broke at the sight of her, and without hesitation, he reached out and gently lifted her into his arms. I promise I will find your parents, he vowed, his voice firm and reassuring. But before he could take a single step, a deafening roar echoed through the wreckage, and Adamus looked up to see the giant serpent's tails descending upon him. With light reflexes, he dodged to the side, shielding the little girl from harm as he rolled to safety. The ground shook with the force of the impact, and Adamus knew he had to act fast. With the little girl clinging to him, Adamus sprinted through the rubble-strewn streets, his every step a desperate bid for survival. Behind them, the serpent's tails thrashed and writhed, a constant reminder of the danger that pursued them. Right beside him, Deputy Stone flew in a jet, its engines roaring as it matched Adamus's pace. Both their bodies glowed with a strange, grainy energy. Hand her to me, Adamus, Deputy Stone commanded urgently, leaning out of the cockpit. Without hesitation, Adamus complied, passing the trembling child into the waiting arms of Deputy Stone. Stone's grip was firm yet reassuring as he pulled the girl close, his eyes locked on the encroaching chaos behind them. Adamus, get in the jet, Deputy Stone continued, gesturing toward the open hatch. You tried your best and failed. There's just a little while until she gets tired and she leaves. That's what we usually do when we get attacked by giant monsters. Adamus's smile was grim as he shook his head. No, he replied firmly, determination blazing in his eyes. As she was talking to me, I was touching her life string. I saw how my tribe sealed away yokais. With that, Adamus darted away, his feet pounding against the ground as he raced towards the highest building in sight. Reaching the top, he assumed a meditative stance, his gaze fixed upon the chaos unfolding below. As he watched, the souls of the dead began to rise from their lifeless bodies, drifting upwards toward the monstrous serpent's gaping maw. Adamus's heart clenched with sorrow as he witnessed the tragic sight. But then, something stirred within him, a newfound sense of purpose, of resolve. Closing his eyes, he reached out with his mind, his senses extending beyond the physical realm. Adamus, in his meditation stance, assumed the soul liberation mudra. One hand raised, palm facing outward, fingers spread wide, while the other hand rested gently on his heart. This sacred gesture symbolized the liberation of trapped souls, their release into the afterlife. As he held the mudra, he chanted the ancient mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. His life strings, radiant threads of gold, expanded outward, weaving invisibly through the colossal expanse of the cities. The intricate web of energy spread across 10 entire city, stretching nearly 250,000 miles, linking Adamus to every living soul within their bounds. With each connection, the golden network tightened, binding lives together through his will and compassion. As each person felt the touch of Adamus's life string, they began to speak out loud, a chorus of voices echoing through the air. What was that? Some questioned, while others murmured, it feels like somebody's watching me. Desperation tinged Adamus's voice as he cried out, please. I can't do this by myself. This is our city that we have to protect together. Our government is not going to save us. We are going to have to save ourselves now. Please, give me some of your energy. As Adamus's face and body came into view, some of the citizens recognized him. I know that hero, one exclaimed. That's Vajra. He saved us the other day. Yeah, me too, another chimed in. He helped me move my furniture. I saw him in the middle of the night picking up trash, a third said. He saved me from jumping off the bridge, someone else called out. He stopped me from getting robbed, another added. He saved my business from burning down, a voice shouted from the crowd. I'm homeless, a weary man spoke up, but he built me a shelter with his own hands. And he's always there, ready to lend a hand, someone added. If he's willing to help us with these tiny little deeds and the big deeds, we can at least give him a little bit of our energy. The sentiment spread through the crowd like wildfire, a shared recognition of Adamus's selflessness and dedication. They knew that in times of need, he had always been there for them. It's always good to help others, one of them murmured, their voice carrying a sense of wisdom. Even the smallest deeds will lead to a better future, another added, nodding in agreement. In their collective reflections, they understood the power of kindness and compassion. They knew that every act of goodness, no matter how small, contributed to a brighter tomorrow. And as they rallied behind Adamus, they were reminded that together, they could overcome any obstacle, no matter how daunting it seemed. Amidst the uncertainty, a powerful wave of determination swept through the city. Every animal and plant within 250,000 miles radius answered Adamus's call, their life energy surging towards him in a collective offering of support. Jets of vibrant energy flowed through the life strands, converging on Adamus like a torrential river. His body thrummed with power as the life energy flowed into him, his form enveloped in a swirling aura of green and gold. His eyes blazed with intensity, more gold than ever before, as he absorbed the life force of the city. With each passing moment, Adamus grew stronger, his energy expanding exponentially. The collective power of the city coursed through his veins, infusing him with a boundless strength and determination. As the energy reached its peak, Adamus raised his arms to the sky, a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. The city's life force surged around him, a testament to the resilience of its people. Adamus turned to the citizens, his eyes filled with determination. Your collective power will not go in vain, he declared, his voice ringing out with unwavering conviction. Standing tall, he screamed out to Ohebi Orochi no Megami, his voice echoing across the city. This fight isn't over. It's time for you to leave my people alone, Ohebi Orochi no Megami. The monstrous serpent and her 9 heads recoiled at Adamus's challenge, their eyes narrowing with fury. There you are, they hissed in unison. I thought you were hiding from me. With a deafening roar, they gathered more energy, their forms crackling with dark power. With a terrifying intensity, they unleashed another beam of black energy at Adamus, intent on overwhelming him once and for all. The black energy surged toward Adamus, shattering reality in its wake and splitting the air with higher dimensional rifts. He stood firm, his golden green aura blazing, and raised a single hand to intercept the beam. The impact tore open cracks across existence, but Adamus remained unyielding, his presence burning brighter against the chaos. In a voice that boomed like thunder, resonating with cosmic power, Adamus addressed his foe. People like you, he declared, his words carrying across the battlefield for all to hear. You're not even a person. You're a demon. A yokai. His voice carried a weight of authority as he continued, his gaze piercing through the darkness. How creatures like you can kill and torture hard-working people, like the citizens of my country, who just want to provide for their families. But no, people and monsters like you, politicians, mayors, our own king of our country, treat us like trash. A fierce determination burned in Adamus's eyes as he raised his voice, his words ringing out with unwavering conviction. I say no more. Our opinions matter. With a swift motion, Adamus seized the energy beam in his grasp, his green and gold aura surging through the black energy, destroying it in a brilliant display of power. As the beam dissipated, Ohebi Orochi no Megami's face contorted in fear. How she began, but Adamus interrupted with a resolute gaze. Because the collective of love and compassion will always conquer darkness, selfishness, and greed, Adamus declared, his voice ringing with conviction. With a mighty leap, Adamus shot into the sky, moving thousands of times faster than light with the energy he had gained. His entire being blazed with gold and green radiance as he closed in on Ohebi Orochi no Megami. With each punch, he struck the serpent's 9 heads relentlessly, his fists fueled by the power of his convictions. He climbed atop the final head where Nure-onna's body was exposed, her cries echoing in the air. Please don't seal me, she pleaded. I will release half of the souls. Just let me go. Adamus paused, his hands resting on her forehead and heart. Om Mani Padme Hum, he intoned, his voice resonating with cosmic energy. Yellow lights of strings emerged from Adamus, encircling the entire serpent and Nure-onna. The strings shimmered, visible to all, as they weaved a complex pattern around the entities. As the chanting continued, the strings began to glow brighter, intertwining with Ohebi Orochi no Megami's form. Nure-onna's cries softened, replaced by a sense of tranquility as Adamus's compassion enveloped her. As Adamus was doing this, souls were being released from her body, each one adding to the brightness of the sky. The dark clouds dispersed, giving way to a radiant glow as the souls ascended towards the light. As Adamus held Nure-onna down and the souls began to leave her mouth, millions of ethereal forms floated upwards. Among them, 2 souls stood out, a woman and a man. They reached out, their translucent hands gently grasping Adamus's shoulders. We saw you save our little girl, Aisha, they spoke softly, their voices echoing with an otherworldly resonance. Adamus's eyes filled with tears as he looked at them. I'm sorry, he choked out, his voice heavy with emotion. I couldn't save you guys, or save your daughter's leg. The spirits smiled sadly, their forms shimmering with a faint light. Just find her a good home, please, they pleaded before they began to fade away. Adamus screamed out in anguish, his heart heavy with grief. I will, he vowed, his voice cracking with emotion, even as he continued to seal away the beast. The scene was filled with an overwhelming sense of sorrow as Adamus grappled with the weight of his failure. The spirit's plea haunted him as he fought to contain the darkness, his determination fueled by their final request. And amidst the chaos, the souls of the departed drifted away, leaving behind a sense of loss that hung heavy in the air. The strings of life connected to Adamus sealed Ohebi Orochi no Megami and Nure-onna into a tiny crystal that Adamus held in his hand. Still suspended in the sky, Adamus gazed at the crystal, where he saw Nure-onna screaming to be released. With a heavy heart, he carefully placed the crystal into his pocket as he began to fall. As he plummeted towards the earth, the weight of his actions pressed heavily on him as he descended, the wind rushing past him in a blur. He crashed into the water with a mighty splash, the impact jolting him into consciousness. Adamus struggled to stay afloat as he gasped for air, his body weakened from the exertion of his powers. I used every bit of energy I had to do that, he thought to himself, his vision blurring as darkness crept in at the edges. With each passing moment, his strength waned, and he found himself sinking deeper into the ocean's depths. As Adamus's eyes closed and his consciousness faded, he found himself enveloped in darkness. His body sank deeper into the abyss, carried by the gentle currents of the ocean. All he heard was the echoing sound of someone banging on his chest. Kid, wake up. Wake up, Vajra. Adamus's eyes flickered open, and he caught flashes of light amidst the darkness. His gaze settled on a random fisherman hovering over him. With the fisherman's help, Adamus struggled to his feet, his senses slowly returning. The fisherman's face lit up with relief. I got Vajra. He's alive. Adamus looked up, his vision clearing as he realized he was aboard a small boat. In the distance, he could see the lights of the city, where hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people were waiting. Vajra. The crowd cheered, their voices carrying across the water as the boat headed back to shore. As they approached the city, Adamus couldn't help but feel a surge of gratitude and warmth. As Adamus and the fisherman stepped out of the boat onto the shore, they were immediately engulfed by a crowd of cheering citizens. Our hero. Vajra, they chanted, their voices echoing through the night. The cheers grew louder as Adamus was lifted onto the shoulders of the crowd, carried triumphantly as they paraded him through the streets. Vajra. Vajra. Suddenly, the roar of an approaching jet caught their attention. Deputy Stone and Sheriff Fox emerged, landing the jet nearby. Adamus broke away from the crowd and climbed into the jet, ready to depart. As the jet roared over the city, Adamus turned to Deputy Stone, his voice steady but laced with exhaustion. Deputy, the girl I rescued earlier. The one with one leg, her name's Aisha. Make sure she's safe. Find her a family that will love her. Deputy Stone nodded firmly, a promise shining in his eyes. We'll take care of her, kid. You've already done more than anyone could ever ask. Adamus moved to the cockpit, his glowing gold eyes fixed on the horizon. As he gripped the latch to jump out, Stone stepped forward, his voice calm but commanding. Kid, you've done enough tonight. Take a break just for a few hours. Go home. Let us handle the rest. Adamus hesitated, his gaze distant. I can't, he murmured, his voice tinged with sorrow. I hear them, all of them. Their suffering, their prayers. I can't stop. His knees buckled, and he fell to the floor, exhaustion finally taking hold. Stone crouched beside him, placing a steady hand on his shoulder. Vajra, he said, using the hero's title with a tone of respect, we've got this. Just take a couple of hours. Recharge. We'll hold the line. Adamus stared at him for a long moment before nodding. All right. Just a couple of hours, he whispered. As the jet climbed higher, the distant crowd's cheers faded into the wind. Adamus sat in silence, staring out at the glittering city below, a thousand voices still echoing in his mind. With a deep breath, he pulled out his communicator and called Dylan. Dylan, he began, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside. It's been a night. I've got things to tell you about the battle, my powers, my family, everything. He hurries up and changed into his regular school clothes. The jet landed outside his home, its engines winding down to silence. Adamus stepped out, his boots heavy against the ground. The house stood before him, its warm glow spilling through the windows like a beacon in the dark. He paused at the door, gathering his resolve. With a deep breath, he pushed it open and stepped inside, the weight of the night finally easing as the door clicked shut behind him. As he walked in, his mother Almesa rushed to him and enveloped him in a tight hug. Adamus, what happened? Are you okay? She asked, her voice laced with concern. I saw what happened on the news, a giant yokai attack. Adamus, wearing his normal school clothes, reassured her, Mom, I'm fine. I wasn't even there. I was at Dylan's house. But I do have some questions for you. Almesa looked at him sternly. Do you think I'm stupid, Adamus? Don't lie to your mother. Who told you about the Tenchi no Mi? How did you get these powers? Adamus hesitated before admitting, okay, I was lying. I am the superhero Vajra. And as for how I got my powers, our class went to a museum where I learned a little bit about our people, Bodhizen tribe. There was a crystal called the Om Mani Padme Hum crystal, and when I was there, it felt like the crystal was calling my name. So I ate it. And now I have powers. Her face reflected a look of confusion. When you ate the crystal, it must have somehow fused with you, also allowing our ancestors' powers to manifest more fully, giving you the eyes of Tenchi no Mi. Why would you do that? Why would you risk your life? Almesa's voice was filled with concern. Adamus replied quickly, why didn't you tell me the truth about our family? That explains why there are no photos of anyone in our house except for me and you. Why won't you just tell me the truth? Almesa sighed, her expression softening. Because our powers, the Tenchi no Mi, it's not just a gift. It's also a curse. People will hurt you to get those powers, to control you. And worst of all, you can feel the pain of everyone. But okay, I will tell you the truth. The full story of our people. Almesa gently took Adamus's hand, and together they entered a meditation, their fingers forming the unity mudra. Not everyone in our tribe has the ability or the powers of those eyes, Almesa explained softly. I no longer have my powers, so I can't do the things you do, son. But grab onto my life essence, my life strings, and watch my story. Adamus's eyes glowed bright gold, blooming like the petals of a lotus flower. He grasped his mother's life strings, feeling the energy flow between them as she began to narrate her story. Almesa's voice guided Adamus as they journeyed through her memories, witnessing the struggles and triumphs of their ancestors. They saw the challenges faced by their tribe, the sacrifices made for survival, and the moments of unity and strength.